Hello, Dahi here from Timeslip Softworks. In the last video I covered the first half of the changes to version 14, including the addition of 4 new maps and multiple melee attack modes. In this video I'll cover the remaining changes for version 14, which is now available from Humble. Quite a lot's changed in this update. For a start, 3 new encounters have been added, and to date not very many of the dialogue encounters have been added in. There's been more of an emphasis on adding the maps, but since there's quite a few maps now, I'm going to start putting in the dialogue encounters. There have been a number of additions to the outcomes that you can get from dialogue and skill choices. This includes adding damage to a particular enemy, guaranteeing tactical repositioning and getting a tactical repositioning bonus, and also the possibility to completely remove an enemy from play before combat starts. It's also possible now that debuffs can be applied to your party as a result of failing skill checks, as is the case in one of the new dialogue encounters. So it's also possible now to apply multiple effects through one choice. So here, basically, you're trying to warn someone about a mafia hit squad. So you can either fire a shot in the air to warn them, or you can fire a shot at the hitman. Now it doesn't tell you, but obviously it's going to both warn them and damage the character. So that's also a new thing. You can have multiple effects through one dialogue choice. So that, as you can see, that's basically distracted all of the enemies, and it's damaged who will likely be your kind of primary adversary here. And I'm just going to skip tactical repositioning. And I'll close in. Sam's he's pretty much a melee character for this this game. And I've also got Elena Fury here. So
Understood.
I'm just going to start to cover the ground quickly. Now this is one of the new additions. You're probably wondering, you know, like why is a semi-naked man under my control? This is a new addition. You can basically control temporary allies now. This gives a little extra diversity in terms of, you know, what I can do in dialogue encounters. So on a couple of occasions you'll be able to control other people, and in this case it's actually a kind of a drunken police captain who's basically he won't accept mafia bribes, and he's also setting up a departmental shakedown to get rid of any dirty cops. So basically that's why the hit squad are there. So you can control him too, and he's a pretty decent fighter, so he'll be able to help out reasonably well. So these enemies are distracted, so it's actually going to half their it's going to half their AP for the first turn. Okay, and I'll just do a little damage to this character. I can probably actually switch to you can switch to the attack types here now, or you can left click. I can switch to heavier attacks because I was about to say I have a pretty good chance of hitting, but there you go. Let's see. I'll just use the shotgun here, and I'll end the turn. Now I think this character's actually got 2 turns, so it suggests there's possible. No, I think maybe it's okay. I'm just getting a little confused there. And so some of the things I'm trying to actually show you in this video. I can probably actually do one of them now. I'll just stick to regular attacks just to get the greatest chance. There we go, that's one of them. If you notice the status effect there in Lucia Riviera's character information box, this is a new status effect and it's suggested on RPG Codex. Basically the idea here is that as enemies sustain more damage, they become less effective in combat, and this applies to your characters as well. There are 2 levels of this. The orange coloured one is the heavily wounded, and this reduces your AP by 2. It makes you 10% easier to hit, and it also makes your attacks 10% less likely to hit. The lightly wounded variant, which I think you need to be about less than 50% health to trigger, that's basically half the effect, so it's 1 AP and 5% off chance to hit and 5% bonus to any enemies trying to hit you. And I'm gonna just move away from this character now. And the next thing I'm actually trying to show you is enemy fleeing. That's been added to in this version. And I don't really want to injure these anymore because there's a pretty good chance they're going to break soon. So I'll just end the turn. I guess I can take a shot at this guy. So basically now when enemies have, there's a couple of possibilities. So if they're lightly wounded, there's a really small chance they'll run away. If they're heavily wounded, there's a bigger chance they're going to run away. And there's also a status effect called Traumatize. I'll talk about it a wee bit later, which also increases their chance. Now I will model a more kind of advanced system for enemies fleeing over the next couple of updates. There are other things that could be taken into consideration to make it a little more nuanced, and I'll do that. Basically, once the basic system's been put in place, it's relatively easy to change it. But I can show you one of the perks here. If you'll notice, the chance to hit there is 47 and 53 respectively. If I go into the character screen now and choose this friendly fire perk, now I've held off on adding shotgun perks to date because I suspected I'd at least attempt the cone of fire, and this would probably make anything I added redundant. So I've added a couple of shotgun perks now. Friendly fire is one of them. As you can see, it reduces the chance to hit allies in the shotgun's cone of fire by 66%. So I'll just add that and go back into the game. And now you can see there's a 15% chance to hit versus 53. It could be useful if you're going for a heavy shotgun build and you're planning on using it a lot, and you don't want to clean your allies out of it when you're at it. But I'll just try it to see. So missed both of them. And let's take another shot at this guy. And I'll end the turn now. Now I'm expecting that one of these enemies will probably break and run away pretty soon. This character is healed now, so there's actually no chance that they will. I'll see if I can maybe go over and get this hitman to... So he's lightly wounded. Now you can see with the blue status effect, pretty unlikely he'll run away with that, but I'll try and put this character's... I won't kill that one. I'll try and put this character... I missed. I was just trying to get that character's health down enough to increase the likelihood of them running. And may as well close in with this guy. Yeah, so there's that's the first character fleeing now. Effectively, there's multiple configurations for each map depending on if it's a small encounter, a large encounter, or if it's a dialogue encounter. They have their own kind of configurations just to where enemies will appear, where the spawn points are, where the player start areas are, or where the flee points are. So this character is making his way now to the flee point, which is presumably over here somewhere. And if he manages to make it, he'll come back later on. He will gain a level, and he will be more powerful the next time you encounter him. So I guess there's a trade-off here. If you're having a tough fight and you can manage to make someone flee, it's to your advantage, but well, I guess your immediate advantage. Long term, it'll make things a bit more difficult though. And I've blew my AP there, not really paying attention. One thing with the fleeing, and she's basically, this character's away now. Since they typically flee when they're heavily wounded, I'm probably going to give them an AP bonus if they attempt to flee, because the chances of them getting away are actually not really all that great, as it only take one hit to take them down. And you can see Sam here has sustained light wounds. Now I don't know if I'm going to show you the other perk that I wanted to, because the enemies aren't really concentrated enough, but I can describe it anyway. This perk was added, it was suggested by Nathan Friesen, sponsored through Kickstarter, and it's a pretty interesting perk. It relates solely to shotgun use. So let's see. Move on to Lena Fury. If you were to take a shot at that character now, and if it hits her, it would kill her. If you have this perk, which is called Message Sent, it will have a 50% chance to traumatize any enemy within 2 tiles. Now there's basically it's a more bloody incapacitation. Anyone that sees it is, there's a chance they're going to run as a result of this traumatized status effect, and it also increases the damage you can do to them by, I think, 20% for 2 turns. So that's a pretty good perk. I mean, if you're a shotgun character and you want to kind of debuff enemies, it's going to be a pretty useful one to pick up. So thanks to Nathan for supporting in Kickstarter and suggesting the perk. And there've been a couple of other changes. I've made some improvements to lighting in all the levels, and I've also fixed a couple of bugs. Nathan's also helping with finding bugs, and he found one with sniper rifles, so I fixed that, and he's also picked up a couple of text errors, which I've also fixed. So thanks again Nathan for helping out. I think that's pretty much it for this update. So you've got temporary allies, wounds, fleeing, more options for more effects for dialogue, dialogue choices, 3 new encounters, and there's also code to support dialogue rewards, 4 new perks, and from the last time, multiple melee attacks and 4 new maps. So it's a pretty big update, and I'll be starting on version 15 tomorrow, and I'll keep you posted on that. Thanks very much for watching, and if you have any comments, please feel free to leave them. I'd really like to hear your views on the changes to Vigilantes. Thank you. Bye.